Hello and welcome to Aha Moments. This one is entitled The Star-Shaped Peg and was originally emailed at October 23rd, 2023. So if you received that in your inbox and you are here to elaborate on the discussion, welcome. I'm so happy that we can expand on what you saw in your email and that you are connected on a weekly basis. If you're not, if you jumped on the YouTube link, but you have not subscribed, then go to jring.com and hit the subscribe button, and you will receive an Aha Moment Monday every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern to start your day. So Aha Moments, I've been writing these for about 8 years or so, and they're all about shifting perspective. And the reason that we want to do that is that we want to encourage Aha Moments on demand, let's say on demand, a little more regularly. So what we want to be able to do is not just accept a situation, but question it and be able to grow at an even more rapid pace than we are by just kind of standing back and watching things and just being an observer. So there's a time to be an observer, and there's a time to kind of step in and go, what does that mean? Did I actually see that in a way that is going to help me? If you did, wonderful. If you didn't, then, question it, right? Just take it a different look. So that's what Aha Moments are all about, just shifting perspective and teaching yourself to generate those Aha Moments a little more often, just challenging yourself a little bit more. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the Aha that was sent out on October 23rd. And then I got a couple more things that I want to add to it afterwards. And of course, I always welcome your feedback and comments too, either on here, you can comment on the YouTube, or share, subscribe, send me an email. That's great. I look forward to that. Okay, let me find it, and here we go. Okay, the star-shaped peg. What can you find the courage to do? Are you one of the quiet ones who surprises everyone when you take control in an emergency situation? Are you courageous in trying new things? Are you bold in speaking out when everyone else is silent? Courage can be loud or soft, and it comes in a myriad of shapes and sizes. And what fits one is oversized or too tight for another. Some people believe that courage is the absence of fear, but Brené Brown says that they are perfectly suited bed partners. We all experience fear to some degree: fear of speaking up, fear of looking stupid, falling short, the fear of something going wrong, fear of being late, losing, or the outcome not being what we expected, yet somehow manage to find the courage when it matters most. It's not at all uncommon, though, that we lose courage when it means stepping up to be our best self. Jason Christoff, mind control expert, wrote the foreword in my upcoming book and started it by saying, "Let me tell you why most people are terrified to become better on any level." Jason built his own gym after university, and many people paid him thousands of dollars to train with him. He witnessed that when they got within reach of their goals, they often abandoned it. He spent the last 25 years studying why. Perception plays a role. Rachel Maurice, MD, writes this about perception. In the words of David Icke, it's just the conduction of electrical signals to our brain from what is being received by our sensory organs. So our reality is actually just a bunch of electrical impulses which takes place in our mind. End of quote. In other words, what we perceive as real, we believe is real. Newsflash, our perception is fed by what we subject ourselves to. So we are tribal beings, and being safe is the brain's #1 goal. Safety is mimicking what the herd does. Christoff explains, we act, talk, and think like the majority of people in our immediate environment. If we consciously decide not to run with the bigger herd, this part of the mind would make us feel nervous and scared. So we run back into our old habits, our old rituals, our old behaviors, and our old belief systems. This is why most people can't make the changes they want or need to make in their lives. Aha! You owe it to yourself to have the courage to run the other way. Never shy away from living authentically and striving to be your best self. Never, ever, regardless of the backlash, the pushback, who feels slighted, who feels challenged, who disagrees or rejects you. It means changing your environment, then change it. At any given time, you are being bombarded with messaging, blatant and subliminal, that your subconscious mind is picking up to the tune of 10,000 impressions per second. Maurice illuminates. If you don't play an active role in controlling the information in your environment, you'll be subject to what society wants to see, which is mostly fear-based, negative, disempowering, and divisive messaging. End of quote. Decide to be the sparkling star-shaped peg that won't fit into society's beige square hole, and know that your new tribe awaits you. Oh, I had fun writing that one. And at the footer, I'll tell you, if you go on the website to look at the archive or you look at your email, you'll see on the footer, it says, just another reminder that I'm always talking to myself first. So when I write these ahas, it's because I've experienced something, I have read something, I have learned something that I just think has just hit me in a way that just a little more impactful than maybe it did at earlier times, or it was new. And I wanted to share it, and I wanted to wrap it up in a way to say, that it is an aha. Let's awaken from it, right? So Jason and Rachel are just exceptional people, and I love quoting them because they know their craft so well. And Rachel Maurice MD is a very interesting individual in that she was a medical doctor in Western Canada for probably 25 or 30 years, and moved away from the system at the time of lockdown, and she was not willing to follow some of the protocol, and she was she removed herself, but I think they removed her first. But she reinvented herself. She didn't like what she was seeing going on. She couldn't be part of it, and she completely has reinvented herself with a number of certifications in natural ways. I think right now she's studying vibration and tuning forks, and that's why she's got this like toolbox that's so extensive right now in helping people with holographic memory, with all kinds of things and natural healing. Jason Christoff is a mind control expert. However, in addition to that, of course, owning a gym and, with his studies in university and his continuous studies, not just as a trainer or entrepreneur, but watching how many people, as I said in the AHA, came within, very close to their goals and then abandoned them. He has studied the mind and the brain and, a lot of things that I've studied to a very, very deep level. And so in addition to anatomy and wellness and all kinds of stuff. So when he speaks, people listen for that same reason, is that not only does he have the experience, but he has the expertise. And Jason is always learning and always studying, as is Rachel Maurice, as am I, which is why I write the AHAs. I could probably write one every day, though they are time consuming sometimes to do, to get the research and pull it in a way that makes sense. But there's just so much to learn. I think what I've discovered, especially in the last few years, is the depth of the lies that we have been told in so many aspects of our lives. Everything from our health to the authorities, to how we are governed, to the monetary system, to the earth, to gosh, you name it, species, and of course everything. As I speak, there's unrest in out in the east, and I won't go into that, but it is not what the news tells you it is. So the lies continue, and it's very sad. I want to in this AHA though about being the square peg in the round hole kind of thing, and the fear associated with that. Jason did a little walk and talk when he was talking about Mike Tyson, and he started it by saying, I have the same net worth as Mike Tyson, and he kind of chuckled, and he says, I want to let you know, he says it's not as big a deal as you think it is. Now, Jason has done very well for himself, but he identified to a certain extent to Tyson's career, and I wrote it down what the number was that he said, $430 million US that Mike Tyson made during his boxing career. And Christoff says, I didn't make that much money, but he certainly has always made money. That Jason just is very entrepreneurial that way and is always in service. So I mean, he has made money, but he said the same way. He said, I incinerated it. Like I went through it. I burned it. I found ways to burn it. And Mike Tyson, apparently, I didn't realize this when he told the story, is famous for doing the same thing. So, he would, smack up cars and give cars away and whatever, like he just went through money. So here's the thing. And it's the same with the goals. When I mentioned about, trying to be going after being your star-shaped peg and being okay with that and continuing on that vein, as you go through that process, a couple of things are going to happen. And one of them is this: your brain is designed to keep you safe. So when you go back into your programming, in the case of Mike Tyson, I mean, he was from an impoverished neighborhood. Poverty was ingrained in him from the time he was young. That was his safety net. That was his programming. That's where he lived. That's where his nervous system was comfortable. Okay. So when all of a sudden all this money came in, this was uncomfortable for him. So probably unconsciously, he gave it all away because his brain is saying, look, we don't know how to handle this. This is not the script that we know. This is not this is not safety for us. We don't understand this. This is risky territory. And so unconsciously, he got rid of a lot of the money. He found ways to do it, right? And Jason Christoph says the same thing. I've gone through it. I certainly had a nice upbringing when I was younger, but I find that some of the habits that were our household habits in terms of spending and how we you know, I don't know, so I want to say used money. You know, I watched my dad, who was a very proud man, a very educated man, always educating himself. He moved up in the ranks of his company and as well had, you know, often a side business going. And he worked hard, but he also worked very smart. He made good money. He provided for his family. My mom also was a very intelligent, well-read, capable, organized, educated, smart individual. She stayed home to raise the family until the family was old enough that she could go back to work. And then she literally did. She took her training in sales training and she took pattern design and dressmaking when she was younger in school. And she made all her clothes and everything in the house. I mean, she was very talented. So the two of my parents, you know, were amazing role models that way in terms of being intelligent and capable and having, you know, providing for the family. When my mom, you know, when it was, you know, we were in our teens and she could go back to work, she did. She went to a dress shop and then she went and learned flower design and she worked in flower shops and she loved that. And, you know, so both of them. And my dad, when he was done in the corporate world, he started his own business. He was in his, well into his 60s when he started his business. And, you know, and he worked it until he was in his early 80s. Probably but a year before he passed. So I think that is, you know, people keep asking me about retirement and I say the same thing that my dad said. It was like, what am I going to do? Sit in a rocking chair? And so that's, I don't know what's retirement like. Yeah, I think in terms of choosing what you want to do, for sure. You know, I don't want to have to work, you know, the rest of my life, that's for sure. So being in a position to be able to be a little more fluid that way, have a little more time in my hands and have the money to do the things I want. Yes, I guess that's retirement, if that's what you want to call it. But I don't even use that word, to tell you the truth. I want to be in service until my last day. And I say to people, I want to die healthy. So, you know, my goal is not to live until, you know, eternity. My goal is to live a very passionate, engaging, healthy life. So I see that, you know, again, I say I take many pages from my mom's book in terms of, you know, making things from scratch and honoring the family. And, you know, so there's a lot of those values that I look and I go, check, 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 check. Those are all my programming. There are some negative programmings in there too, in terms of, you know, living beyond my means, which I did for years. When I was younger, it's just, I always figured that I would be able to find the money, make the money, whatever. So a lot of times I made a lot of money, but I never wasted it, but I didn't always, you know, invest it wisely. Sometimes not my fault. Sometimes maybe it was, but, you know, I had a certain style. And so let's just say that whether it was right or wrong, I'm not going to judge. I've enjoyed a very nice life, but there are things that I look around and think, man, I could have done that a lot better had I had maybe different mentors, different programming or whatever. So let's go back to Mike Tyson in a sense of having that, you know, impoverished upbringing, that the discomfort of him making all of this money that he, you know, some people say he didn't feel worthy. Well, maybe that's part of it, but let's just say that the brain is, its number one goal is to keep you safe. And when it doesn't recognize the programming and you haven't reprogrammed your brain to elevate the status and to go, no, this is the new programming, this is the new me, then you have some work to do. You're likely going to sabotage yourself, right? So I see this, and I know Jason mentions it. I did a town hall with naturopathic Dr. Andrew Hanoun, and he said the same thing, you know, that we watch people that in order to accomplish results, whether it's weight loss, whether it's weight gain, it could be whether something that you're, changing in your appearance, or your, your level of education, the quality of people that you're around, that your surroundings. I mean, I have friends of mine that have a lot of money and they still shop at bargain shops. I mean, and I'm not suggesting that's a good thing or a bad thing. They're helping somebody, so it's great. But the point is that, they're always sort of looking for that deal, that, they have that frugal mindset. So again, not judging, not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's the programming. It doesn't matter how much money they have. They will never do things lavishly because it's just not their way, right? So there's other people, like I know in my household, we never took hand-me-downs. Like, I don't know if there's anybody in the family to hand down, but we bought everything brand new. So that was my programming. I bought my first secondhand thing about 2 years ago. And I never bought anything secondhand. That was just not my programming. So again, not judging, just saying that was the safe place for me. I guess safe in terms of having new, right? So Mike Tyson's safe place was that impoverished mindset. So he gave away a lot of his wealth. So what is it, if you are, what Jason was saying is how many people he trained that would get within their goals and then sabotage themselves. And then the reason being, quite clearly, you're not changing the programming on the way through, right? So when we go to be that best self, whatever that looks like, and again, remember, I'm always talking to myself first. So I will throw myself under the bus before anyone else and say, I know that I get in my own way sometimes, and that I question that. I sit there, a lot of times, not at nighttime, but, in the morning, it's like, okay, let's go back over the day. How did we do? What kind of decisions and choices did we make? And are they in alignment with where you're going? And not always. Not always. So sometimes I take stock, and I do it literally on a daily basis. And okay, what good decisions did I make? Where did I maybe waste time? Where did I excuse myself? Where did I'm not trying to be hard on myself, I'm just trying to be honest. If you're not moving yourself forward, then you're obviously falling, there's this behavior thing, right? So, and it is about self-sabotage, and it is about looking for that safe place. So what is it that we need to take a risk on? And often it's ourselves. So one of the things that I did this week is I rallied my team in 7K. In the precious metals group, and I rallied everybody, and we did a little bit of an accountability call that we went through. I went through some training with everybody, make sure everybody understood the website and they understood some of the new memberships and all the things. And I really put substantial effort into this, about reaching out to everyone, making sure that we got their questions answered. I got an expert on the call with us, and then I did sort of say minutes of the meeting, for lack of a better term, but kind of recap what we did. And then I gave them my intentions. I don't want to say goals. Here's my intentions over the next 2 weeks until we have our next call. And that was me stepping up from an accountability standpoint. Whether nobody else shows up to that call next week or not, who knows? They may or may not. I think they will, but they may or may not. But I will show up to that call, because I have now tasked myself with my set of an intention. And a couple of those things, I think I had 6 things that I wrote down that I was going to do before the next call. 2 of them I already did today. So, we've got to get into that reprogramming. The reprogramming can be like that. It can be action steps. It can be, purposeful intentions. It could be, if you look behind me, I've got wall art. I write about, that in the book, about wall art, about how, that the fact that it's mentioned in the AHA, how that your subconscious mind sees, 10,000 plus impressions a second. When it's seeing positive imagery like that, it is very good for your programming, right? It moves you in the right direction. So being your best self, I'm just going to say this as a final comment. Don't be afraid to walk away from a tribe, or walk away from an individual, walk away from behavior, walk away from a news station, walk away from, maybe it's a restaurant, like something, whatever. Don't be afraid to walk away, or at least do less of something that darn well is not good for you. Once you come up with the awareness, if you're a sugar person and you just go, oh my God, I'm such a chocolate addict. I know so many people who are chocolateholics. Sugar is probably more addictive than cocaine. Not probably, I think it is. And so, when that, you go, God, I crave it and I need it. So you recognize it, you go, okay, I'm recognizing that's not probably a really good thing for me. It doesn't, let's put it this way, it's not putting me in the direction of where I want to go. So you see that, you go, okay, I know what caffeine does in terms of it. You know, it reduces the oxygen level to my brain. It feels like it's revving me up, but it's the opposite. It's actually the fight or flight system that is being engaged. You know, my body is reacting to it. I know that it's a toxin, and, you know, and I know the chocolate I'm eating has caffeine. I know that sugar is addictive. Like, you kind of go through all that rational stuff and you go, is this really what I should be doing? Like, this is my programming, it's my habits, and it's my circle of influence. You know, somebody opens up a box of chocolates and they go, hey, you know, anybody want one? And everybody's like, yeah, you know, I love chocolate. So you're in that environment. I'm not in an environment where people eat chocolates. I don't eat chocolate very often. I give it away, you know, because I know people like it, but, you know, it's not thing for me, but I have my other weaknesses. So that's it. We just decide where it is that you want to go. You know, check yourself in the behaviors, and don't do it alone, whatever. You know, the book 50 Simple Ways to Release the Shackles of Self-Sabotage is on pre-sale right now. There's some really great gifts that are coming with it. You know, then we get into the membership program with Human You. There's going to be lots of tools, lots of conversations there to keep you on track, whatever that means for you. And so let's do it together. Okay. That's how it works. That's, I think, the best way to do it. You know, let's just say you got to do it alone, but not by yourself. Don't you love that? Got to do it alone, but not by yourself. Okay, so let's do this together. As always, succeed deliberately,